The first time Ava bled, every alpha in the market stopped breathing. She did not scream. She did not even realize the tiny cut across her palm mattered. She had only reached for a basket of apples when a rusted nail sliced her skin. One crimson drop landed on the old wooden stall. Then, everything changed. Conversations died. Footsteps froze. An alpha woman nearly dropped her child. Another slowly turned her head toward Ava, her pupils widening until they swallowed the color of her eyes. What is that scent? Fear spread faster than fire. People backed away instead of coming closer. Several omegas covered their noses. One elderly alpha whispered, "Impossible." Ava quickly wrapped her hand with a cloth. "I am sorry," she said. "I did not mean to." The merchant grabbed her shoulders. "Leave." "What?" "Run." His voice shook. "Run before someone finds you." Ava did not understand. She had lived 23 quiet years in the peaceful border village of Stone Creek. She had never presented as an alpha, never presented as an omega. Doctors called her an unmarked, someone born without a secondary designation. Rare. Mostly ignored. She worked in the village library. She lived alone. She bothered no one. Yet, today, everyone looked terrified. Then a deep horn echoed across the valley. 3 blasts. Every face lost its color. The Crimson Guard. They are coming. A little girl pointed directly at Ava. They're looking for her. Ava stepped backward. No, there must be a mistake. Then she heard horses. Dozens of them. Black armored riders entered the marketplace. Every citizen immediately knelt. At their center rode a woman unlike anyone Ava had ever seen. Silver hair, golden eyes, dark armor marked with the crest of the Moon Kingdom. She carried no visible weapon. She did not need one. Power rolled from her like invisible waves. Commander Lena Ashford, the strongest alpha alive. The woman every kingdom feared. The rider stopped exactly 10 steps away. She inhaled once. Her expression completely changed. Shock, disbelief. Then something softer. Something almost painful. Lena slowly climbed off her horse. Every guard watched nervously. She walked toward Ava, without speaking. Each step echoed through the silent marketplace. Ava wanted to run. Instead, she stood frozen. Lena stopped close enough to hear Ava's heartbeat. She closed her eyes, then breathed in again. A single tear appeared. The commander whispered so quietly only Ava heard. "I finally found you." Ava blinked. "What?" Lena opened her eyes. "They lied to me." "Who?" "They said your bloodline disappeared." I think you have mistaken me for someone else." Lena gently reached for Ava's injured hand. She never touched it. She only looked at the tiny drop of blood. "It smells exactly the same." Ava frowned. "My blood smells like blood." "No." Lena's voice trembled. "It smells like home." Every guard exchanged worried glances. One of them quickly stepped forward. "Commander." Lena raised one finger. Silence returned instantly. She looked back at Ava. "What is your name?" "Ava." "Your family name?" "I do not know." Lena's breathing became uneven. "You never knew your parents." Ava stiffened. "How?" "You were adopted." "Yes." "You have a birthmark behind your left shoulder." Ava's eyes widened. "No one knows that." Lena smiled sadly. "Ido." The entire marketplace became impossibly still. Ava felt cold. "Who are you?" Lena answered without hesitation. "The person who has spent 18 years searching for you." Before Ava could respond, an arrow suddenly flew through the air. It aimed directly at Lena's heart. Lena caught it between 2 fingers without looking. Chaos exploded. "Assassins. Protect the commander." Black cloaked figures appeared on nearby rooftops. More arrows rained down. The Crimson Guard formed a wall around Lena. But Lena never looked away from Ava. Another assassin shouted, "Kill the girl." Ava froze. "Why me?" An arrow shot toward her chest. Before it reached her, Lena moved. She crossed 20 feet in less than a heartbeat. The arrow shattered against her bare hand. Then Lena wrapped one arm around Ava's waist. The moment their bodies touched, the entire world seemed to stop. A pulse of silver light burst from Ava's skin. Every alpha nearby gasped. Several dropped to one knee against their own will. The assassins stopped attacking. Even they looked horrified. One whispered, "It awakened." Another immediately turned to flee. "We are too late." Lena looked down at Ava. Their eyes met. For a brief second, Ava felt something she had never experienced. Safety. Like every lonely day of her life had somehow led to this single moment. Lena gently brushed a strand of hair away from Ava's face. Then she whispered words that made everyone present tremble. "My blood recognized yours." She leaned closer. "My wolf has waited 18 years for your scent." Ava could barely breathe. "I do not even have a wolf." Lena smiled. "You were never unmarked." She looked directly into Ava's frightened eyes. "You were hidden. And somewhere far away, beneath an ancient mountain sealed for centuries, something enormous opened its eyes." Ava stared at Lena, unable to make sense of anything she had just heard. "You are wrong," she whispered. "I have lived in Stone Creek all my life. I have no wolf. I have no family." Lena's expression softened. "You have all three." Before Ava could ask another question, the remaining assassins attacked again. This time they rushed from every direction. Steel flashed beneath the afternoon sun. The Crimson Guard moved instantly. Swords clashed. Magic exploded across the marketplace. The villagers scattered in panic. One assassin slipped through the fighting. His eyes were fixed only on Ava. "You cannot be allowed to live." Lena stepped in front of Ava. She did not draw a weapon. Instead, she simply looked at the attacker. The alpha froze. His entire body shook. Drops of sweat rolled down his face. He collapsed to both knees before reaching her. "I cannot." Lena's voice was calm. "Leave." The assassin screamed, as though invisible claws had ripped through his mind. He threw down his blade and fled. Ava had never seen power like that. "You never touched him." "I did not need to." Lena turned toward her. "We cannot stay here." "Why?" "Because every kingdom now knows you exist." The sentence landed like a stone. What does that even mean? It means the secret your parents died protecting has finally been exposed. Ava's heart skipped. "My parents are dead?" Lena looked away. "I am sorry. They gave everything so you could survive." Before Ava could respond, an elderly woman pushed through the crowd. It was Martha, the woman who had raised Ava since childhood. Her hands trembled. "Ava, you knew." Martha lowered her head. "I prayed this day would never come." Ava's voice cracked. "You knew who I was?" "I knew enough." "Then tell me." Tears filled Martha's eyes. "When you were 5 years old, a woman arrived during the middle of the night. She carried you. You were covered in blood. Not your own. She begged me to hide you." Ava felt her knees weaken. "What woman?" Martha slowly looked toward Lena. It was her. Ava turned in disbelief. "You brought me here?" Lena nodded. "You were dying. You were only 5. The palace was burning. The people hunting your family were everywhere. I promised your mother I would protect you." Ava's breathing became uneven. "If that is true, why did you leave me?" Lena closed her eyes. "Because they were hunting me too. If I stayed, they would have found you. So, I disappeared. I watched from the shadows. I made sure you stayed alive." Ava could not speak. Every lonely birthday, every winter spent wondering why no one came for her, every night wishing someone would claim her, Lena had been there, just never close enough to hold her. Martha reached into her apron pocket. "There is something else." She handed Ava a tiny silver necklace. "I was told to give you this when the time came." Ava opened the pendant. Inside was a faded drawing, a smiling woman, a laughing little girl, and beside them stood a tall silver-haired alpha whose face had been carefully scratched away. Ava looked up. "Lena, you were there." Lena nodded once. "I was." "You knew my mother." "I loved her like family." Silence settled between them. Then Ava noticed something. on the back of the pendant. A symbol, a crescent moon wrapped around a crimson flower. Lena's face immediately became serious. Hide that. Why? Because that crest belonged to the Blood Moon line. I have never heard of them. You were never supposed to. Lena looked toward the mountains in the distance. They ruled before the current kingdoms existed. They vanished after a war no history book remembers. And I belong to them? You are the last living heir. A cold wind swept through the empty marketplace. One of Lena's guards rode toward them at full speed. Commander. We have a problem. What happened? The Northern Kingdom has crossed the border. Already. They are demanding the girl be handed over. Ava's stomach tightened. They do not even know me. They know your blood. The guard hesitated. There is more. Lena's eyes narrowed. Speak. Our scouts reported another force approaching from the east. Whose banners? The guard swallowed. They carry no banners. Lena's expression darkened. The Black Pack. Every guard became visibly tense. Ava quietly asked, Who are they? Lena answered without hesitation. The people who murdered your parents. Before Ava could react, a terrifying howl echoed across the valley. Not from one wolf. Hundreds. The sound shook the earth beneath their feet. Birds exploded from the nearby forest. Horses became restless. Every alpha present instinctively reached for a weapon. Lena looked toward the dark tree line. They found us faster than expected. She turned to Ava. You must trust me now. Ava hesitated only a second before nodding. Lena reached out her hand. This time, I am not letting you go. Ava slowly placed her hand into Lena's. The instant their fingers touched, the silver pendant around Ava's neck began glowing. Far beneath the mountains, the ancient presence awakened even further. A deep voice echoed through the darkness. She has returned. The glowing pendant slowly faded, but the silence that followed was even more unsettling. No one spoke. Even the horses seemed unwilling to move. Lena tightened her grip around Ava's hand. We leave now. The Crimson Guard immediately formed a protective circle around them. Within moments they were riding away from Stone Creek. Ava looked back only once. The small village where she had spent her entire life disappeared behind the trees. Everything familiar was gone. Hours passed in silence. The road climbed into the northern hills where thick forests blocked most of the sunlight. Ava finally spoke. Where are we going? Moon Keep. What is that? My home. You live in a fortress? Lena gave a small smile. I practically live on battlefields. One of the guards laughed quietly. That is the closest thing Commander has to a home. Lena shot the woman a look. She immediately became serious again. Ava noticed something strange. Everyone around Lena respected her, but they also seemed afraid of disappointing her. Not because she was cruel, because they trusted her completely. As evening approached, the group stopped beside a wide river. The guards quickly prepared camp. Ava sat alone near the water, staring at her reflection. Nothing looked different. The same brown hair, the same quiet eyes, the same ordinary face. She touched the pendant. The last heir. The words still felt impossible. Soft footsteps approached behind her. Lena sat beside her without speaking. For several minutes, they simply listened to the river. Finally, Ava asked, Why does my blood smell different? Lena looked toward the flowing water. Every alpha and omega carries a scent. I know that. But yours does not belong to this age. Ava frowned. I do not understand. Lena picked up a smooth stone and tossed it into the river. It is like hearing a song that disappeared hundreds of years ago. The moment I smelled your blood, my wolf recognized it. My mind did not. Ava looked at her. So your wolf knew before you did? Yes. Can wolves remember people? Not exactly. They remember blood. The answer sent another chill through Ava. So that is why everyone reacted. Yes. They were not smelling blood. They were smelling history. Ava lowered her eyes. I still cannot feel any wolf inside me. You will. When? I do not know. Most present before 18. I am 23. I know. Then maybe I truly am different. Lena slowly nodded. You are. But not in the way you fear. Before Ava could ask another question, one of the guards called out, Commander. There is movement. The camp instantly became alert. Several warriors disappeared into the trees. Minutes later they returned, with a young Omega woman. She looked exhausted. Her clothes were torn. Her wrists were bruised. The moment she saw Lena, she dropped to her knees. Please. They are coming. Who? The Black Pack. Lena helped her stand. What happened? They attacked our village. They were searching for someone. Ava's stomach tightened. Me. The Omega nodded. They carried your picture. Ava's breathing became shallow. They killed anyone who refused to answer. Silence settled over the camp. Lena's jaw tightened. How many survived? Very few. One of the guards cursed under her breath. The young Omega suddenly looked toward Ava. Her eyes widened. So it is true. Ava stepped back. What? You smell. She stopped speaking. Tears filled her eyes. You smell peaceful. Every person around the fire looked confused. The Omega continued. I have lived among alphas my entire life. They always smell like dominance. Or anger. Or hunger. But you. She smiled through her tears. You smell like home. Ava blinked. Lena said the same thing. The Omega nodded. It feels safe. Lena quietly watched Ava, the realization growing in her own eyes. Ava was not simply carrying an ancient bloodline. Her scent was affecting others. Not through control, through comfort. Before anyone could discuss it further, a deafening roar echoed through the forest. Not a wolf. Something much larger. The ground shook. Trees swayed violently. Every horse panicked. One guard climbed onto a fallen log for a better view. Her face turned white. Commander. Lena stood immediately. What do you see? The guard swallowed hard. There is someone walking toward us. Only one. Yes. Then why are you frightened? The guard pointed toward the distant trees. Because every animal in the forest is following her. Hundreds of wolves, bears, stags. Even birds filled the sky above a single approaching figure. None of them attacked. They simply walked behind her in complete silence. Lena's expression became colder than Ava had ever seen. She whispered one name. No. It cannot be. The mysterious woman stepped out of the shadows. She smiled directly at Ava. Then she spoke words that made Lena reach for the sword she had not touched in years. So, the child survived after all. Every sword in the camp left its sheath. The Crimson Guard formed a wall between Ava and the mysterious woman. Not a single animal moved. The wolves, bears, and birds remained perfectly still, as though waiting for permission to breathe. The woman smiled. She looked no older than 30. Long black hair rested over one shoulder. Her silver eyes reflected the campfire. She wore no armor. No weapon. Only a dark cloak embroidered with a faded moon. Lena's voice was colder than winter. You died 18 years ago. The woman laughed softly. So everyone believes. Ava looked between them. You know her? Lena never took her eyes off the stranger. I watched her fall. The woman's smile widened. You watched someone fall. You never found the body. One of the guards whispered, Commander, who is she? Lena answered without hesitation. Celine. The name spread through the camp like poison. Several guards instinctively stepped back. Even the rescued Omega looked terrified. Ava frowned. Who is Celine? No one answered immediately. It was Celine herself who finally spoke. I was once the strongest Omega in the kingdoms. I also happen to be your mother's older sister. Ava's world seemed to stop. My aunt. Celine nodded. Yes. I searched for you for many years. Lena's voice cut through the silence. Do not lie to her. You betrayed her family. Celine sighed. I expected that greeting. She looked at Ava instead. Tell me, did she also tell you she abandoned you? Lena's eyes flashed with anger. I protected her. You hid her. You left a child alone for 18 years. Ava looked at Lena. She remembered every lonely birthday, every empty winter, every unanswered question. For the first time, doubt entered her heart. Lena noticed. Pain crossed her face. I wanted to return, but every road leading to you is watched. Celine slowly walked closer. The wolves followed one step behind. You deserve the whole truth, Ava. Lena raised her hand. Another step and I will kill you. Celine stopped. She did not appear frightened. Instead, she smiled sadly. You still cannot forgive yourself. Lena's jaw tightened. I do not need forgiveness.
No.
You need peace. A long silence followed. Finally, Ava spoke. What really happened to my parents? Celine answered first. They were murdered because they refused to surrender you. Lena nodded. That part is true. Celine continued. They believed your blood would awaken something ancient. They wanted to keep you hidden forever. Ava looked down at her pendant. The voice beneath the mountain. Celine's eyes widened slightly. You heard it already? Ava slowly nodded. It spoke after the pendant glowed. Lena's expression changed immediately. When? After we left Stone Creek. Celine whispered, earlier than expected. Lena stepped in front of Ava. You will not fill her head with your lies. Celine looked genuinely hurt. I have not lied once. Not yet. Then perhaps you should ask why the Blood Moon line disappeared. Ava looked at Lena. You know?
Ido.
Then tell me. Lena remained silent. Celine sighed. You see. There are truths even heroes cannot speak. Ava felt frustration building inside her. Will someone finally explain anything? Celine nodded. The Blood Moon line was never destroyed by enemies. They destroyed themselves. The camp fell silent. Ava stared at her. What? They believed their blood could control the first wolf, the oldest creature ever born. They failed. The first wolf consumed nearly every member of the bloodline. Lena quietly added, only one child escaped. Ava slowly looked at herself.
Me.
Lena nodded. You were 5. Celine looked toward the mountains. The creature has been sleeping ever since. It waits only for its true heir. A deep vibration suddenly rolled beneath the ground. The campfire flickered. The river beside them rippled without wind. The pendant around Ava's neck began glowing once more. This time far brighter. A sharp pain exploded inside her chest. She cried out and fell to her knees. Every alpha nearby instinctively stepped backward. Silver light spread beneath Ava's skin like flowing rivers. She clutched her chest. It hurts. Lena immediately knelt beside her. Ava. Look at me. Ava's breathing became uneven. I hear it. Hear what? A heartbeat. Celine closed her eyes.
No.
It is beginning. Lena looked at her. What is happening? Celine answered quietly. Her wolf is finally waking. Ava screamed. A pulse of silver energy burst outward. Every animal in the forest lowered its head. Even the wolves surrounding Celine knelt. Then, inside Ava's mind, a pair of enormous silver eyes slowly opened. A voice, older than kingdoms themselves, whispered, Little Moon, I have waited long enough. Ava's eyes flew open. She was no longer beside the campfire. She stood inside an endless silver forest. Moonlight covered every tree. The air smelled of rain and wildflowers. Everything was silent. Not an ordinary silence. A living silence. Every leaf seemed to be waiting. Ava slowly turned in a circle. Where am I? No answer came. Then she heard heavy footsteps. Not threatening.
Slow.
Confident. Ancient. The trees parted. A wolf larger than any building stepped into the clearing. Its fur shimmered like liquid silver. Its eyes held thousands of years of memories. Ava could not move. Not because she was afraid. Because looking at the creature felt like looking at the moon itself. The enormous wolf lowered its head. Welcome home, Little Moon. Its voice echoed inside her mind. You can speak. I always have. You simply could not hear me. Ava swallowed. Are you the first wolf? I've been called many names. The first, the ancient, the mother of wolves. I answered to none of them. What should I call you? The giant wolf blinked slowly. You may call me Lyra. Ava smiled without realizing it. It suits you. Lyra's great tail moved once. A surprisingly gentle gesture. You have your mother's kindness. The word stung. You knew her. I watched her grow. I watched her laugh. I watched her die. Ava lowered her eyes. I never even got to remember her. You remember more than you know. Lyra stepped closer. When the time comes, your memories will return. Ava looked up. I have so many questions. I know. Then tell me. Lyra sat beneath the moonlight. The Blood Moon line was never created to rule. They existed for one purpose. To keep balance between alphas and omegas. Ava frowned. Balance. When power gathers on one side, war follows. When fear rules the other, suffering begins. Your blood calms both. Ava remembered the rescued omega. You smell peaceful. She finally understood. My scent. It heals hearts before wounds. Lyra nodded. That is why so many feared your family. They could not control people who no longer feared them. Ava looked confused. Then why was my family hunted? Because peace threatens those who profit from war. Before Ava could ask more, Lyra suddenly became serious. There is little time. Someone is trying to enter this place. The silver forest trembled. Dark cracks spread across the ground. A deep growl echoed in the distance. Lyra stood immediately. You must wake. What is happening? You are not alone inside your mind anymore. The cracks widened. Black smoke poured through them. A familiar voice laughed.
Celine.
Ava turned sharply. My aunt.
No.
Lyra's eyes narrowed. Only her spirit. A shadowy version of Celine stepped through the darkness. She smiled exactly as she had in the real world. So, this is where you have been hiding. Lyra bared her enormous teeth. You should not be here. The shadow laughed. I am exactly where I planned to be. Ava looked between them. I do not understand. The shadow's smile became colder. The real Celine wanted to protect you. I simply borrowed her face. Ava felt ice run through her veins.
What?
The shadow slowly changed. Its features melted. The silver eyes disappeared. Dark red eyes took their place. The smile became cruel. My name is not Celine. I am Morwen, the last priestess of the Black Pack. Ava's heart pounded. You killed my parents. Morwen smiled proudly. I watched them die. Lyra lunged. The forest shook. Morwen dissolved into smoke before the massive jaws reached her. Her laughter echoed through every tree. You cannot protect her forever. The seal is breaking. The kingdoms are already marching. And when they arrive... She looked directly at Ava. You will choose. Become their queen. Or become their weapon. The smoke disappeared. The silver forest slowly became peaceful again. Lyra looked troubled. She should not have been able to enter. What does that mean? It means someone near your body allowed it. Ava froze. Someone in the camp? Lyra nodded. You are surrounded by enemies. Everything dissolved into white light. Ava gasped as her eyes opened. She was back beside the campfire. Lena was holding her shoulders. Ava, can you hear me? Ava nodded weakly. I saw Lyra. Lena's expression froze. You know her name? She told me. Celine suddenly stepped closer. What else did she say? Before Ava could answer, one of the Crimson Guard screamed. An arrow had pierced her chest. Another struck the campfire. The flames exploded. Dozens of masked warriors rushed from the forest. But what shocked Ava most was the person leading them. She wore the same armor, the same crest, the same uniform as the Crimson Guard. Someone inside Lena's own army had betrayed them. The peaceful campsite erupted into chaos. Arrows filled the night sky. The first wave of masked warriors crashed into the Crimson Guard. Steel rang through the forest. The smell of smoke and blood spread with every heartbeat. Lena stepped in front of Ava without hesitation. Stay behind me. Ava shook her head. I cannot keep hiding. You are not hiding. You are surviving. The traitor removed her helmet. She was a tall alpha with short brown hair and a scar across her left cheek. Several crimson guards gasped. Captain Mira. No. It cannot be. Mira smiled coldly. It can. One of the younger guards stared at her in disbelief. You trained us. I did. You said the commander saved your life. She did. Then why? Myra's eyes never left Lena, because loyalty has limits. Lena's expression remained calm. I wondered when you would reveal yourself. Mira laughed. So you knew. I suspected. You still trusted me. I hoped I was wrong. For the first time, regret flickered across Myra's face. Only for a second. Then it disappeared. The Black Pack offered something you never could. Lena's voice was quiet.
What?
The truth. Silence spread across the battlefield. Even the fighting nearby seemed distant. Lena slowly drew her sword. Its silver blade reflected the moonlight. What truth? Mira pointed directly at Ava. That she is not your destiny. She is your prison. Ava frowned. What does that mean? Mira looked at her. Do you really think the strongest alpha in the kingdom spent 18 years searching for you because she was kind? Lena tightened her grip on the sword. Enough. Mira ignored her. The moment your wolf fully awakens, Lena will never be free again. Ava slowly looked toward Lena. What is she talking about? Lena remained silent. That silence hurt more than any answer. Mira smiled. There it is. She never told you. Ava's voice trembled. Lena. Please. What is she talking about? Lena finally spoke. When your mother begged me to protect you, I accepted an ancient bond. What kind of bond? My life became tied to yours. Ava blinked. If you die.
E.D.
The words struck like lightning. And if you awaken completely. Lena closed her eyes. My wolf belongs to yours forever. Ava stepped backward. You never chose that. I did. For me? Yes. Why? Lena looked directly into her eyes. Because losing you once was enough. For several seconds, Ava could not breathe. Everything Lena had done. Every battle. Every sacrifice. Every lonely year. She had carried that burden willingly. Mira laughed bitterly. You hear devotion. I hear chains. The traitor raised her hand. The masked warriors suddenly retreated instead of attacking. A strange silence settled over the clearing. Mira reached into her cloak. She removed a crystal no larger than her palm. Dark crimson light pulsed inside it. Celine's expression immediately changed.
No.
You found it. Lena's face hardened. The Heartstone. Ava quietly asked, What is that? Celine answered. It was carved from the heart of the first wolf's fallen brother. Mira smiled proudly. It breaks ancient bonds. Lena's eyes narrowed. So that was always your goal? Mira nodded. I wanted to free you. I never asked to be freed. You should have. Before anyone could react, Mira crushed the crystal. A wave of crimson energy exploded across the forest. Ava cried out. A burning pain spread through her chest. Lena dropped to one knee. Blood spilled from the corner of her mouth. Every guard stared in horror. Lena. Ava rushed toward her. The silver mark that had appeared on Lena's wrist began cracking. Tiny pieces of glowing light floated into the air. Celine whispered, The bond. It is breaking. Lena grabbed Ava's hand.
No.
Her voice sounded weaker than ever before. Do not let go. Ava tightened her grip. I will not. Their hands glowed with silver light. The cracking slowed. Mira frowned.
Impossible.
The Heartstone should have shattered it. Lyra's voice echoed inside Ava's mind. Your heart refuses to abandon hers. That is stronger than any curse. Ava suddenly understood. The bond was not surviving because of magic. It was surviving because both of them wanted it to. A warm light spread from Ava's chest into Lena's body. The cracks disappeared. Lena slowly stood again. The silver mark on her wrist became brighter than before. Mira stared in disbelief.
No.
Lena lifted her sword. You never understood. What? Ancient bonds cannot be broken by hatred. They grow stronger through choice. The ground suddenly shook violently. Far away, toward the mountains, a massive pillar of silver light shot into the night sky. Every person on the battlefield turned toward it. Lyra's voice echoed inside Ava once more. The mountain has opened. Your memories are waiting. The silver pillar lit the entire night sky. Even from miles away, its light reached every corner of the valley. The fighting stopped. Masked warriors, crimson guards, even the frightened horses stood motionless. Every pair of eyes turned toward the distant mountain. Ava felt a strange pull deep inside her chest. It was not painful. It was familiar, like someone she loved was calling her home. Lyra's voice echoed gently within her mind. Come, little moon. The truth has waited long enough. Lena stepped beside Ava. We have to reach the mountain first. Mira slowly lowered her sword. Her confident smile had disappeared. So it has finally awakened. Celine looked toward the glowing peak. The seal is breaking faster than I feared. One of the Crimson Guards hurried toward Lena. Commander. Our scouts report armies moving from every direction. How many? The Northern Kingdom. The Western Alliance. The Black Pack. They are all marching toward the mountain. Lena nodded once. They have all been waiting for this day. Ava looked at her. Because of me. Lena answered honestly. Yes. Ava lowered her eyes. So many people will die. Lena gently placed a hand on her shoulder. Not if we reach it first. Mira suddenly laughed. Everyone turned toward her. You still think arriving first changes anything? Lena remained calm. It changes everything. Mira slowly backed away. I have failed my mission, but someone stronger never does. Before anyone could stop her, she bit down on something hidden inside her mouth. Blood spilled across her lips. Celine ran toward her.
No.
Mira smiled one last time. Tell the priestess. The gate is open. Her body collapsed, completely lifeless. A heavy silence followed. One of the younger guards quietly whispered, She chose death. Lena closed Myra's eyes. She chose despair. The Crimson Guards buried her beneath a large oak tree before dawn. No one celebrated defeating a traitor. Many of them had trained beside her for years. When the first sunlight appeared, the group continued toward the mountain. The journey became more difficult with every mile. The forest grew older. Trees wider than houses blocked much of the path. Ancient stone ruins appeared among the roots. Their walls were covered with carvings. Ava stopped in front of one broken pillar. There was a picture of a giant silver wolf surrounded by alphas and omegas standing together. None of them carried weapons. They look happy. Celine nodded. They were. Lena looked at the carvings. Before fear divided them. Ava gently traced one of the ancient symbols. The moment her fingers touched the stone, another memory flashed through her mind. She was 5 years old again. A warm hand held hers. A beautiful woman with long brown hair smiled down at her. Her mother. Do you hear her? Little Ava laughed. Lyra sings when it rains. Her mother smiled. Never forget that song. The memory disappeared. Ava fell to one knee. Lena immediately caught her before she hit the ground. What happened? I remembered.
What?
My mother. Tears filled Ava's eyes. She was real. Lena smiled softly. She always was. Ava looked at Celine. My mother could hear Lyra too. Celine nodded. Every heir could. But only one could become her true partner. Ava hesitated. Me. Yes. They continued climbing. By midday they reached the base of the mountain. The entrance stood before them. A pair of enormous stone doors, each nearly 50 feet high, covered with glowing silver symbols.
No visible handle.
No opening. Only one sentence carved into the center. Only the heart without fear may enter. One of the guards pushed against the doors. Nothing happened. Another tried using magic. The symbols absorbed it instantly. Lena stepped back. It will only open for Ava. Ava slowly walked forward. Her heart raced. What if I cannot? You can. How do you know? Lena smiled. Because it has been calling only one name. Ava reached out. Her fingers touched the cold stone. The entire mountain trembled. The glowing symbols spread across the doors like flowing rivers. A deep rumble echoed from within. Slowly, the massive entrance began to open. A warm silver light poured through the gap. But mixed within it was something else. Dark red smoke. Lyra's voice suddenly lost its calm.
Run.
It escaped. Before anyone could react, a gigantic claw burst through the opening. It smashed the stone doors apart. The mountain shook as a monstrous wolf covered in black flames forced its way into the daylight. Its eyes glowed blood red. Its roar echoed across every kingdom. Then it looked directly at Ava.
And smiled.
The black wolf stepped completely out of the mountain. Each paw cracked the ancient stone beneath it. It was almost as large as Lyra. Its fur burned with dark flames that never spread to the forest. Its crimson eyes never left Ava. Yet the most terrifying thing was its smile. It was not the smile of an animal. It was the smile of someone who had waited a very long time. The Crimson Guard immediately formed ranks. Shields locked together. Archers drew their bows. Lena raised her sword. No one attacks. Several guards looked at her in shock. Commander? If you attack first, thousands will die. The black wolf tilted its massive head. Then, to everyone's disbelief, it spoke. Its voice rolled through the valley like thunder. You have grown. Ava's throat tightened. You know me? I knew you before your first breath. The beast took another step forward. No one dared move. I carried you when you were still an infant. Ava frowned. That is impossible. The wolf chuckled. Is it? Fragments of another memory flashed across Ava's mind. She was a baby. Someone enormous and warm carried her through a moonlit forest. She remembered soft black fur, a deep heartbeat, a lullaby she could not understand. The memory vanished. Ava gasped. I remember. Lena looked at her. What did you see? It carried me. The Crimson Guards exchanged confused glances. Celine stared at the beast in disbelief.
No.
That cannot be. The black wolf looked toward Celine. You always feared the truth. Celine's face lost all color. You protected her. The beast nodded slowly. I protected the last child. Ava's mind raced. Lyra said your brother fell. The wolf laughed. I did. But falling is not the same as dying. Lena stepped forward. What are you? The beast answered calmly. I am Orion, the second wolf. The brother history chose to hate. Silence spread across the valley. Ava looked between the mountain and Orion. If you protected me, why are you free now? Orion's eyes darkened. Because the seal weakened. And because someone has been feeding it hatred for 18 years. Ava immediately thought of Morwen, the priestess. Orion nodded. She seeks to awaken what sleeps beneath even me. Lyra's voice echoed inside Ava's mind. Do not trust him completely. He speaks truth.
But not all of it.
Ava quietly asked within her thoughts, Can you hear him? Always. Orion suddenly smiled. I hear my sister as well. Every alpha in the valley stared. The two ancient wolves were speaking through Ava. Orion looked toward the mountain. She still blames herself. Lyra answered through Ava. Because you chose darkness. Orion closed his eyes.
Y chose sacrifice. No.
You chose vengeance. The air grew heavy. Ava felt caught between two voices older than civilization. She raised both hands. Enough. The valley fell silent. She looked at Orion. Tell me everything. Then she looked toward the mountain. And no more half-truths. For the first time, Orion bowed his enormous head. I loved humans once. They loved me. But fear entered their hearts. They wanted Lyra's power. They wanted mine. They turned brothers against sisters. Alphas against omegas. And finally, they turned me against Lyra. Ava slowly looked toward the mountain. So the war was started by people, not wolves. Orion nodded. We became their weapons. Lena lowered her sword. Everything she had learned as a child was collapsing. Celine quietly whispered, the old histories were lies. Suddenly, the sky darkened. Not with clouds. With wings. Thousands of black birds circled above the mountain. Their cries echoed across the valley. Orion immediately looked upward. They are here. A chilling laugh drifted through the air. Morwen appeared on a floating stone high above the battlefield. She wore flowing black robes instead of Celine's face. Her real appearance was young, beautiful, and completely without mercy. She spread her arms. You have gathered everyone perfectly. Lena's eyes narrowed. What do you want? Morwen smiled. The same thing I wanted 18 years ago. She pointed at Ava. Her choice. A massive army emerged from the forests behind her. Not hundreds. Tens of thousands. Black banners covered the hills. War drums echoed from every direction. The kingdoms had arrived. The final battle had begun. Morwen looked directly at Ava and smiled.
Come willingly.
And I will spare the woman you love. Ava froze. Before she could answer, Lena quietly reached for her hand. Their fingers intertwined. Neither of them let go. The valley became silent despite the thousands of soldiers surrounding it. Black banners stretched across the hills. The armies of the northern kingdoms stood to the east. The Western Alliance waited to the west. The Black Pack filled the southern ridge. No one attacked. Every army was waiting for Ava. Morwen smiled from the floating stone above them. Choose. You always reduce everything to one word. Lena stepped in front of Ava. I will not let you take her. Morwen laughed. You misunderstand. I do not need to take her. I only need her to walk. She looked directly into Ava's eyes. If you surrender, this war ends. If you refuse, thousands die before sunset. Ava looked across the valley. She saw frightened soldiers, young faces, old veterans. Some held their weapons with confidence. Others were clearly terrified. Most had no idea why they had been brought there. They had only followed orders. Her chest tightened. This is because of me. Lena shook her head.
No.
This war began long before you were born. But I can stop it. Not by sacrificing yourself. Morwen slowly descended until she stood on the broken stone before the mountain. You sound exactly like her mother. Lena's expression hardened. Do not speak about her. Why? She begged for peace. And peace killed her. Ava suddenly stepped forward. Lena gently caught her wrist. Do not go. Ava looked at her. I have to hear what she wants. I already know. So do I. Ava gave Lena a small smile. But I need to hear it myself. Lena slowly released her hand. I will stay beside you. Together they walked toward Morwen. Neither spoke. When they finally stopped a few feet away, Morwen looked almost pleased. I expected fear. I found courage. Ava looked directly at her. What do you really want? Morwen answered without hesitation. I want the old world to burn. Why? Because it deserves to. She spread her arms toward the gathered armies. They divided people into alphas and omegas. They built kingdoms through blood. They hunted anyone different. They murdered your family. They created me. For the first time, Ava saw pain beneath Morwen's hatred. What happened to you? Morwen laughed quietly. You pity me. You should not. My village belonged to no kingdom. We lived together. Alpha. Omega. Unmarked. It never mattered. Until the kings arrived. Her smile disappeared. They called us impure. They burned every home. They killed my parents. They left me alive. So I could remember. Silence settled over the valley. Even some of the soldiers lowered their weapons. Morwen looked at Ava. You think I enjoy war. I do not. I simply know people never change. Ava slowly shook her head. They can. Morwen smiled sadly. That hope came from your mother. And from Lena. Ava nodded. Then maybe they were right. Morwen's eyes became cold once more. Hope is weakness.
No.
It is choice. Ava took one more step forward. You had every reason to hate the world, but you chose to become what hurt you. Morwen's expression faltered, only for a heartbeat. Then she raised her hand. Dark energy gathered above the valley. If you refuse me, they all die. Lyra's voice echoed within Ava. Do not fight hatred with hatred. Orion's voice followed. Break the chain. Ava closed her eyes. She remembered the library, the peaceful village, Martha, her mother, Lena, everyone who had given her kindness instead of fear. Then she remembered what Lyra had told her. Your scent heals hearts before wounds. Ava took a deep breath. She bit the palm of her hand. Fresh blood flowed. The scent spread across the valley. At first, nothing happened. Then a strange silence fell. Soldiers lowered their swords. The frightened horses stopped trembling. One alpha looked at an omega beside him. For the first time, neither saw an enemy. Another dropped her shield. Someone else began crying without understanding why. The scent spread farther, like a gentle wind, through every army. Morwen stepped backward.
No.
Ava looked at her. You asked me to choose. I have. I choose peace. Silver light burst from Ava's blood. The entire valley shone beneath the evening sky. Thousands of people felt the same warmth, the same safety, the same impossible feeling of finally coming home. Morwen screamed as the silver light reached her. The darkness surrounding her cracked like broken glass. She fell to one knee.
No.
It cannot. Then, behind everyone, the mountains split open completely. A shadow far larger than Orion began rising from its deepest chamber. Lyra's voice shook with fear for the first time.
Run.
The true devourer has awakened. The mountain shattered. Stone crashed into the valley. Ancient walls that had stood for thousands of years collapsed like sand. From the darkness beneath them, something began to rise. At first, Ava could only see glowing crimson eyes. Then came claws larger than castle towers. Then endless black fur covered in silver scars. The creature was so enormous that it blocked the evening sky. No one moved. No one breathed. Even Orion lowered his head. Lyra's voice echoed inside Ava. The true devourer. The first hatred ever born. The creature looked down upon the valley. Its voice shook the earth. So, you finally returned. Its eyes settled on Ava, the last child. Morwen stared at the monster in horror.
No.
You were supposed to obey me. The devourer laughed. You never controlled me. You merely unlocked my prison. With one swipe of its claw, Morwen's dark magic disappeared. She fell helplessly onto the broken stone. The armies scattered in panic. Some fled. Others froze where they stood. The devourer ignored everyone except Ava. I can smell your blood. The last blood moon. It is time. Ava stepped forward before anyone could stop her. Lena caught her hand. You cannot face it alone. Ava looked at her. I know. Lena intertwined their fingers once more. Then we face it together. Ava smiled. Together. The simple word filled both of their hearts with warmth. The silver mark on Lena's wrist shone brighter than ever. Lyra appeared beside them, not as a voice, as a magnificent silver wolf formed from moonlight. Orion stepped forward as well. The two ancient wolves stood side by side for the first time in centuries. The devourer snarled. You still protect them. Lyra answered calmly. They were always worth protecting. Orion nodded. And so were you. The monster hesitated. Only for a heartbeat. Ava noticed. There is still someone inside. The devourer roared. There is nothing left. There is. Ava slowly walked closer. Lena stayed beside her. Every instinct told the Crimson Guard to stop them. None did. The devourer lowered its enormous head. Why are you not afraid? Ava answered honestly. Because my mother taught me kindness. Lena taught me trust. Lyra taught me balance. Even Orion taught me that hatred begins with pain. She looked directly into the monster's crimson eyes. And you. You taught me something too. The devourer frowned. I taught you nothing. You taught me that loneliness can become a prison. Silence spread across the valley. Ava took one final step. She reached out her hand. Lena never let go of the other. I will not fight you. The Devourer's voice trembled with rage. Then I will destroy you. You could. But you have been alone longer than anyone. The monster's breathing slowed. Ava smiled gently. You do not need another enemy. You need someone who sees you. The crimson light inside the Devourer's eyes flickered. For the first time, Ava saw sadness. Not hatred. Not rage. Only endless loneliness. A single tear rolled down the creature's massive face. Lyra quietly whispered, It remembers. The Devourer's body began breaking apart. Not into ash. Into silver light. Its enormous form slowly became smaller. Smaller. Until only a frightened young wolf remained. It looked no older than a pup. It walked uncertainly toward Ava. She knelt. The little wolf rested its head against her hand. I was so tired. Its tiny voice trembled. I know. You are not alone anymore. The last darkness dissolved into moonlight. Across the valley, every remaining trace of black magic disappeared. The endless war was over. Weeks later, the kingdoms gathered once more. This time without armies. Without weapons. The old laws separating alphas, omegas, and the unmarked were abolished. New councils were formed with every bloodline represented equally. Not because Ava ordered it. Because people had finally chosen it. Martha came to live at Moonkeep. The Crimson Guard became protectors instead of conquerors. Celine spent her days restoring the forgotten history of the Blood Moon line. Orion and Lyra returned to the ancient forest together, no longer divided by old wounds. As for Ava, she often stood on the highest balcony of Moonkeep beneath the stars. One quiet evening, Lena joined her. Neither spoke for a while. The night breeze carried the scent of wild flowers through the gardens. Lena smiled softly. Do you remember the first thing I ever said to you? Ava laughed. You told me my blood smelled like home. Lena nodded. It still does. Ava turned toward her. And, do you remember what I thought? You thought I was completely wrong. I did. She gently took Lena's hands. But now I understand. Lena raised an eyebrow. What do you understand? Ava rested her forehead against hers. My blood smelled different to you. Because it had been searching for yours. Lena's golden eyes filled with tears. I waited 18 years. Ava smiled. I know. She kissed Lena beneath the moonlight. Soft. Patient. Certain. Far above them, Lyra watched with quiet pride. Orion smiled beside his sister. The moon shone brighter than it had in centuries. Not because the last heir had returned, but because two lonely hearts had finally found the home they had both been waiting for.